Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. It's me and Hugh on board, and we're going to speak about what to expect in this Corona period. As we're recording this, it's the 12th of April, 2021, and Hugh's country, which is in Australia, is just coming under or just coming out of lockdown, and this country is coming out of lockdown because that's when the 12th of April is when they said it's all going to start kicking in, as it were. What Hugh and I are going to be speaking to you about is what to expect in this Corona period and what was all this about over the 1 year period and what's going to happen in the housing market, what's going to happen in the economy, socialization, the transport, the airline infrastructure, all of those sort of things. But essentially, today is a point of celebration because we've just come out of the old way of life. These are the people that have been chemtrailing. These are the people that have been selling toxicity as food, i.e. Monsanto, as well as the court systems that have been successfully reaping people, harvesting people on behalf of the Committee of 300, as well as hundreds of private individuals and corporations, taking them into court on the private capacity under their funny quasi world of what they call star chambers. All of that is transforming itself, as in the great American words, for the people, of the people, by the people. So we're in the period now, not just biologically, economically, and I've got to emphasize the word biologically, economically, ecologically, nature-wise, we're coming into a brand new transition, the period of the Titans. And that's what we're going to be speaking about. What are the Titans? Who are they? And who were these old gods that were toxifying everything? So, Hugh, first of all, your country came out of lockdown, I think, last week, is it? So tell us a little bit what's happening in your part of the world.
Personally, in my country, I live in the state of New South Wales. In fact, on Sunday, I went out, and boy, there was so much traffic. I'm thinking, where are people going? Are they going on a camping trip, or are they going overseas? I'm thinking, no, they can't go overseas yet. So I realized that the New South Wales government is giving the Dine and Discovery vouchers, which is like
wow. What's it called again? Say again.
Dine and Discovery vouchers, which entitles every adult over 18 up to 100 Australian dollars to go out and spend. I mean, just like that, no need for any qualification. If you're a citizen, you get $100, and they split it up: $50 for dining, and the other 50 is for movies, cinemas, art gallery, whatever. Discovery. It's Discovery New South Wales. I'm sure other states are kind of following similar programs because they're just throwing money out. So it confirms, Mark, your statement about we're coming out of the lockdown. To give you some examples, churches can now, the members can sing, they don't need to be muffled up. They can sing to their heart's content. Government is giving subsidies to the airline industry. Oh, the other day they had sale on, and you can go interstate with airfares that's cheap as anything, just to kind of like kick back the travel industry. So
tell us a little bit more about that. So it's not for international flights; it's for internal flights to promote probably internal tourism, internal economy. For this Australian people to self-boost and work their own economy, as it were. Would that be correct?
Yes, correct. The general idea is for the people of Australia to discover Australia. So, if they haven't gone into the middle of Australia, the Uluru, the big hump of rock in the middle, here's their chance to go for cheap. If you haven't visited Tasmania, And the jail system back in Port Arthur, here's your chance to go. And so people usually they go to Fiji, Bali, you know, all the usual every season. Now they get to discover Australia. So it's good for some. It's probably some people.
I got to ask you. How cheap? How cheap?
Well, okay. I can't give you exact numbers, but when there isn't the government subsidies, it's already cheap. So when they give subsidies, it's even cheaper. It's probably as cheap as your taxi fare. You know?
Oh, okay.
Yeah. One way, that is one way only. One way. So right. It's cheap. And they have a sale on it. It just gets sold like hotcakes. You know, they have a ticking away and people just buy. You know, some people just have an itch on travel. So they call them travel bugs, you know. So yeah. I didn't take advantage of that because I'm on, you know, I've got a few other things to do.
So can I explain a little bit more to the audience of the significance of what we're talking about? So if a corporate government, which is essentially also in your country, it's a private registered corporation, as far as I understand it, when that private registered corporation sends people all over the New Zealand for free vouchers, it's not really free, is it? Because it's got terms and conditions in it. You know, there's no such thing as a free lunch. You know, there's no such thing as a free airline ticket. No. It's got terms and conditions. And when they accept that, they're accepting the terms and conditions, which might be that you are volunteering for future vaccines, that you are essentially signing up to their corporate charter, thereby vacating your position as a man and woman and only operating as a corporate instrument. And of course, the Australian government is always passing legislation and laws for corporate individuals or companies. But how they hoodwink and lie to people is to get the general public, the men and women, that these corporate laws are for you, as if you're a corporation. So what should the general public do? They should now put in their terms and conditions. Well, thank you very much for this wonderful voucher. Oh, by the way, you are speaking to a man, not a corporate instrument. You know, a corporate instrument doesn't need feeding, but certainly men and women do. That's biological. Biological means the study of life. Bio means life. And if they don't put in their terms and condition to that corporate private individual group that's sponsoring this, like the Federal Reserve Bank, all centralized banks in this on this planet are all private, which means you don't know who is who, and they withhold the information. If they don't do that, they've just gone and walked themselves into another contract. You know?
In the form of entertainment, yes. Because people left their guard down. They have their guard down when you say, oh, you know, here's free money or here's some voucher. You know, go and this is just to compensate you all the loneliness during the lockdown. Here you go. And it's a very good selling point. And you know, they always say, oh, together we're gonna do this together. We're gonna win together. We're gonna suffer together. You know, it's all like part of the family. Well,
so Hugh, what other tricks are on the back of this voucher? I think you mentioned things like, you know, 30 days. What's that about? Explain a little bit more.
Yeah, when I read the terms and conditions in fine print, and it's a long list, but the very first one is the agreement to abide by all health laws. They call it laws, health laws, and COVID-19 restrictions as and when it occurs. So this is going into the future. Okay, that's the first one. Then you've got all the other usual stuff. You know, you can't transfer this, you can't use it, you know, over duplicate it or whatever. That's fine. You know, it's just a normal anti-fraud thing. So, and the other one is, and this is a big one, they have a expiry date of 30th of June 2021. Now, it's a very strategic expiry date because I know from observing UK and the other countries, they give about 6 months to roll out the vaccines, COVID-19, from Pfizer and all the other companies. And so Australia, according to their timelines, is October or November is when they get the majority of people vaccinated. So by people using it before June, they've given about 90 days to, I guess, becoming solidified. Say, well, if someone resists whatever later on, they can remind them that, didn't you agree that you will abide by all health laws?
When they send you a voucher by letter, they've proven that they have used the post office to make contract with you. What's the post office? It's the universal contracting venue of this planet. Because if it hasn't gone through the post office, then they can't prove that they sent it to you. Then they can prove that they sent it by zip code. If the zip code is in uppercase, it's commercial. If it's in lowercase, it's domestic. And now they can prove they have a physical address and that they have sent it to a physical corporate entity or a man and woman. And since they have that, backed by the voucher number, they can now prove by you spending it that they have got consent. And that is recorded on the back of their bureaucratic systems. And they now present that to the judiciary, saying that we have proven consent, that this person has taken consent, and we've done as best we can, and therefore he has to now perform. We've performed by giving them money or him money or her money, but they are no longer performing for us by saying that they're going to take the vaccine. That's consent by lying and cheating. And anybody that lies and cheats vacates contract. What's the golden principle of making contract? See no evil.
Hear no evil and speak no evil.
If you try to hide things from the general public, if you don't tell things from the general public, and if you don't tell these things, using the three senses, you've violated contract. So as of now, as a plenipotentiary judge and as a chief federal postal court judge, because it came to the letterbox, I am now educating the general public and the judiciary of this entire planet that they have not shown consent because they have not told them the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. And it's the volition behind those words that matter, not the passe or the syntax. The volition is correct. Yeah. They have not shown, and therefore it is they that needs to be now taken out of the public and put into FEMA camps because they are hazardous to the general public.
Right.
So I'm as a plenipotentiary judge, I'm telling everybody it's still void of contract.
Yes. And to add to that, Mark, most of the vouchers that get sent out are sent out to the email of the recipient. So they do have addresses of everybody, because of the licensing system, because it's a kind of like a one-stop shop. They know your address and everything else, but they usually send it through an electronic PDF where you can open it, and it has this QR code, and all the restaurant operators would do is just to scan the QR code, and it gets used up, which on their system it will pop up that you've used it.
Yeah, again. Indeed. So that is still the post office, because post office also controls wire transmission and wire receivership. Okay. It's a receivership and transmission. So it still comes under the post office because they control the transmission.
Communication. Gotcha.
Yeah. So that's what that is. So you have the physical post, which is done by the postman. And then you have the transmission. That's why we was able to disqualify the BBC as being a lying, cheating organization, because they're using wire transmission. When the presidents lie, that's why they put the mask on, to say that we are protecting you from the lies that we're telling you.
So it's not about the thing floating in the air and getting...
Well, it can't go through the wire transmission, can it? So you put the mask on to say we're lying to you. So it's like, when children lie to you, they go, or they go,
I didn't do it. I didn't do it.
You can't see me. You can't see me. These politicians, these pharmaceutical Bill Gates, that's all they are.
Well, there you go. That's another that's a really good information for the audience, to let them know that it's still void of contract because they didn't have full disclosure, and the real volition of them is something else, and they didn't say that. In the guise
under
of
the freedom of information. Freedom of information means the dominion of that which is free, as in kingdom is the dominion of that which is a king.
Yes.
So under the freedom of information, they have violated every contract because they hid. They cannot be in the public. The Bill Gates foundations, these fictitious corporations, these politicians, these private individuals printing the monies, they're going to be put into FEMA camps. Period.
Wow.
Yeah, they are public hazards.
Hazards. That's the word. It's the public hazards. So that means if you're going to use this voucher, you are under their jurisdiction, and you have to follow all health notices and whatever they need to do.
So whatever the government says, they have to do it.
Correct.
So that's like, as we know, corporation is essentially the same status as McDonald's, okay, and Kentucky Fried Chicken and all of these things. So Kentucky Fried Chicken and McDonald's corporations, as well as the pharmaceutical companies that have their own vaccine agendas, have their own terms and conditions, that's a very cheap way of buying consent from the general public with $100 Australian dollars, which is like £50 in this country, I think it is. And if the general public do not put their terms and conditions in, they have successfully created a unilateral agreement with you. Unilateral means one way. You can't have a one-way contract. So citizens of this planet, when your country, when your government, corporate government does this, you've got to put your terms and conditions in, just a simple letter with your name written and autograph it. Thank you very much for this voucher. I accept it with no terms and conditions, as this is a free gift and I'm not signing up to anything else. If you want to withdraw your certificate or your voucher, write to me and I'll be happy to return it. Until you have done so within 3 days, because you've sent it and I'm giving you 3 days to take it back, I will take this as being my property and it has no terms and conditions. The general public has to do that, just as they do with the driving license, just as our students do with driving licenses, passports, and any one of these things. You've got to put your terms and conditions in. And if you go to my website, you'll understand how that works. Yeah. So all over, all the people in the world, when your corporate government sends you something for free, there is no such thing as a free lunch. Okay. Because you've just signed away your health. You've just told your corporate de facto government that they have full dictatorial powers over you, and that it's a one-way agreement, because you didn't put your terms and conditions in.
Right.
Universal law of any consent is two parties, to minimum of two parties have to come together to agree upon something, whether it's a corporate instrument or an instrument of a council, which is made up of men and women.
Right. Now I want to add that to it, Mark. If and correct me if I'm wrong. If you inadvertently taken the vouchers and used it and basically defaulted in terms of just accepting their terms and conditions by just doing the click, I've read the terms and conditions, or sometimes some people do not have the care to read it. You can always have a recourse and actually state that you take it back, and if you need to return it. Is that right, Mark?
Oh, excellent. You mean the universal law, anybody that creates a problem must give you a solution. Just as if we just as if we offer a problem and we show, the fraud in things, we offer a solution. So they're giving you a solution. So I think what Hugh has said, and you're going to give us those terms and conditions because you're going to send a scan of that. What it's saying to you is that you can put your terms and conditions in anytime that you want.
Yes,
So,
anytime.
and when it's important that you only give these people 3 days to answer back, which is the 3-day trust law. Okay, so you've got to use that voucher. You've got to use that voucher to put your terms and conditions in with anybody and everybody, and they will accept it. All you have to do is just show that you have an autograph and that you have a physical address and that you have to show that you're a man and woman. How do you do this? You put your God-given seal on it, not an artificial seal, which is your thumbprint. Yes. Once you've done that and sent it to them by registered post, you have just told your government, hey, you service me. I don't service you. Got it?
Wow.
It's like that. Because it's up to a man and a woman under their fiduciary capacity to put in their dictatorial position. That you have to dictate to your corporate government, which is an offer. It's an offer from your government, and you can accept it or refuse it. If you accept it, put your terms and conditions in, and then there is the exchange of value, which is the voucher that they gave you. Now you need to give them something of value, which would be like a postage stamp on your letter crossed over so they can cross over it. And when they've done that, you've now added volume and value to that document. And if your government refuses to autograph across that stamp, then they don't have a contract with you.
Wow.
They don't have a dictatorial contract with you.
Wow.
It's simple as that.
This is just over a few $100 voucher and incredible, but it's the principle is the same, folks. It's the same.
Yeah. I want to be able to paraphrase this. Look, how can I get Hugh to sign over his children to me, his house, his health, everything? Hey, Hugh, would you like a $100 voucher that I can send you through the post? Would you like one? Say yes, please. Yes.
Wow, you're generous, Mark. Oh, yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I'll send it through.
Free, isn't it?
Yeah, as soon as you get it, Hugh, go to your local restaurant and spend everything. Okay, and you don't even need to thank me for it because that's my generosity. And make sure you don't ever thank me for it.
Well, I'm a very grateful person, Mark. I'll have to thank you for it.
Oh no, it's not necessary, Hugh. You just go ahead and spend it. Go ahead and spend it.
Why are you so pressing me? I mean, I'm not that hungry. I mean,
hey, come on, man. You've been down in lockdown for nearly like 1 year. I've got to do something for you. So go and spend it. Don't even need to thank
you've got a date on here, Mark. I've seen your voucher. You've got a date of 30th of June, 2021. They have to spend, otherwise it becomes zero. It becomes useless. Wow. Why so urgent? Why?
Well, because people might misuse it, and it's like they can't photocopy it and things like that. So I have to put an expiry date into it, and and if you don't spend it, then of course, look, Hugh, look, if you don't spend it by then, okay, just return it back, and I'll send you another one.
Of what expiry date of another month or two, or
just another month, 30 days. I'll give you 30 days, and if you forget to spend that, I'll send you another one. How's that? And don't even bother thanking me about it. That's coming from my heart.
Okay, all right. I won't thank you, but I don't see the point of you just putting expiry date one after another, because expiry date means expired.
Look, Hugh, I'll tell you what. Give me the names, give me your mum's and father's address. I'll send them some vouchers as well. And I'll give you $20 extra voucher when you do that. How's that? Whoa. That's a good deal. That's a good deal, isn't it?
I think you're trying to bribe me, isn't it, Mark? Are you trying to bribe me?
What are you saying? Now, come on, don't make such accusations at me. I'm trying to help. Yeah, I'm not asking, that if you have anything happens to you, that I have access to your organs. I'm not asking you that you should donate your organs to me if you're getting into a car accident. I'm not saying that I have right of access into your house, that if you accept this voucher. I'm not saying that I'm going to restrict your travel if you don't show me a certificate of vaccination. I'm not saying that if you spend this money, this voucher, then Bill Gates gets some of your sweat equity. And that essentially that I will be billing you with about 10,000% interest on the back of that voucher that you spent. So I get to make $10,000 Australian dollars on the back of the $100 voucher that I sent you. I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that I want your organs for harvesting, because organ harvesting and blood harvesting is a massive international trade. No.
Wow.
I didn't realize. I'm for non-profit. I'm for non-profit. And I'm private, by the way. I've got no books. We got to have this private-public partnership. If we are to survive, we got to have this private-public partnership. Otherwise, how am I going to harvest your organs? I'm paraphrasing, but this is the exact scenario that's being played out. It's called right of access into your home, into your life, into your biology, into your organs, into your blood. These people are purely parasitical.
Wow.
Purely parasitical. And they cannot bypass contract law, consent law. So they will go out of their way to be able to find more and more destructive, creative methods to be able to get the general public's consent.
Wow. That's just one type of voucher, Mark.
There are more?
Yes, there are more. And I haven't read the terms and conditions here, but thank you for paraphrasing that. You know, you don't have you don't have intention to do all of that. I'm glad. But however, you're saying you're private, so are you? So I thought private people make their own stuff as they go. Isn't that what I understand?
Yeah, but you can see the stuff that I'm making up, which is like I'm giving you $100. I mean, that's a lot of money for a private individual. You know, that's a lot of money. So, and of course, I've created some legislation through the back of your government called private-public partnership that gives me the right to do that. And it's a wonderful thing for you to partner up with me on a private level. I'm not going to tell you anything, but you're going to tell me everything.
Well, you got all my details, Mark. You got where I live, you know, my family,
I've also got the print of your DNA, and I've got some people already waiting for some of your organs.
I think you've had it since I've taken the first blood test. Well, I feel very exposed here.
Yeah, but you've got to put your terms and conditions in. If you don't put your terms and conditions in, then I cannot just simply withdraw mine, because you spent $100 of my money and I want it back with 10,000% interest. Yes, my money. It's private money. I printed it myself in my backyard.
I thought you're tapping into my account.
No, it's my money. I printed it in the back of my shed. It's called private reserve notes. Yeah, so I can pull you into my private jurisdiction to harvest you in your private capacity. I pulled you out of the public and into my private world called a private reserve bank. Bank of England, all centralized banks are private banks. That's how the trick works. They print it in their backyard, and then they deposit that into your personal account, getting you to buy a debt pledge from them, and thereby generating the ability to print more and more money on the back of your note. So what happens is when you get a mortgage, and I jumped a little bit, and I'm sorry, the bureaucratic trick, just like with these vouchers, is that you put a deposit for a house into your personal account, and then you say you want a mortgage from me, which is a private account. I take your money, stick it into my private account, which means it's non-public and it's non-personal. And then I print off the sum that you want. I print it off quite literally. and then I deposit that private notes that I created into your personal account. So I transfer it from my private account into your public personal account, thereby giving it a credibility. That credibility is called private-public partnership. So the question is, how would you reverse that? Well, easy. You call it a public-private partnership. That means the public laws are going to come into your private capacity.
Oh, wow. Do I need to quote any public laws, Mark?
I'm in the public and you abide by the public laws. All public laws are listed in the UN building, UN charter, in your country, in every country in the world. They're public laws. Private laws, I never openly spoke about because it's private.
You don't have to tell me. Yeah. Oh boy. Now, this is a good role play. I mean, we're just showing it through an example. It's also sports for the children as well. They give a lower amount so that they can go and try out karate or swimming, basketball, volleyball, all sorts of any sports, even painting if you want to go and be creative. It caters for every taste and hobby. So, and again, this is from the state, very much like the Dine and Discovery, but the Dine Discovery is a major move because it's a high amount. So definitely something going on. So thank you for educating.
Yeah. May I mention also about singing in church? The church in every single country, is another name for your treasury, which is the treasury of men and women in the public capacity, not the private. There are public laws protecting it. The Church of England, the churches in every country in the world are running your treasury. You are the gold. They are backing you. And they take you into churches that are upside down Noah's Ark, which means you have been capsized and you are lost and dead at sea, called lost souls. Okay. Now, when you do these sort of things, you've got to have to tell the treasury that you have a faith, okay, and that you're not going into a upside down, capsized vessel, and that you're a living man and person with a faith, and you've got to put that letter into the treasury, and once again creating some sort of trust document with it by, say, simply purchasing a very small quantity of gold, taking a photocopy of that gold, thumb printing that photocopy across that coin, dating it, stamping it, sending it off. If they don't do that, then of course they are just empty people singing for salvation. For salvation comes from maritime word of salvage, asking for people to salvage them, like the Salvation Army that goes around doing what? Creating salvage, so they get to live on your sweat equity. So many of the courts in this country are owned by Church of England,
Anglican,
Methodist Church. Okay,
right.
These are all just tricks to remove your sweat equity. And we have all the documents to prove that. You know it, and I know it. So the people of faith have to let the treasury know that they have not died and been lost at dead at sea, and they're not going into churches that are capsized Noah's arks, okay, but they are body of faith coming together. The priest and the vicars running your churches all know this because I've confronted them. And what happens? They get to suck their whole face in when they know, you know, the vulgarity that they are playing.
That's called perjury, isn't it? Perjury of an oath.
Yeah.
That's serious.
Yeah.
Wow. I didn't realize that. I mean, we're educating the public here, but a lot of people do not realize that. Just think like singing in the church, thinking that it's always a mirror effect. It's always the other way around. You think you're getting that thing, but it's actually switched around. So you have to put your terms and conditions in and make your claim. Yeah, in factual substance.
Yeah, indeed. So what else, Hugh? What else? What are the free gifts And I'm playing, I'm playing the sarcastic here. I'm playing the satire, as it were.
Yeah.
Because the general public can easily get so traumatized by hearing this for the facts as the facts are. So by putting this a little bit of a humor into it, they get to see this is serious stuff, and the Americans need to know this. So if you guys are watching this video, you're going to share it with people. If you don't have anybody to share it with, then you are in trouble in this corona period, because you're a lone vessel floating in a sea of space with a tank-infested, shark-infested tank ocean. Okay, you're going to have a minimum of 3 people: a captain, co-pilot, navigator, Father, Son, Holy Ghost. Even Jesus, when he was being crucified, had 2 people to accompany him. 3-day trust law. Yeah. So what I'm saying is that all our students know about these things, and they got to wake up to the corona period. And should we remind the general public what corona means? I hand it over to Hugh.
Well, the word corona is another word for crown, the crowning moment, yellow, gold, So, for example, when you see the word Corona in some products like the Corona beer, it's got that sort of golden halo about that. So, Corona is really about the crown.
What does it mean in maritime or in birthing?
So they call it the crowning moment, is when you are born into the world. A birthing, a beginning.
So that's when the baby's crown begins to show when it's coming out of the mother, yeah? When she's birthing you.
The head appears from the mother.
Beautifully symbolized with the halo effect.
That's the circle around, so it's coming out. Yeah, the crowning
This is
moment.
the natural creator's given glow that you have. Biophoresis. BIOPHERESIS. That's the natural glow that we have around us that our subconscious mind and other animals can see. The artificial version of that, of course, is like the Crown Corporation pretending to put a crown over their head because they lack a glow around their head, because they're parasites. Parasites don't give off energy. Parasites suck energy.
They go through tunnels and dark alleyways. This is the golden age. This is this is the golden corona period, and there is celebration in the factual world, because we are taking down one of their bricks at a time, and we're making good progress. I can give you more examples, but I think it will be the same story.
Sort of thing. Yeah.
They give you something. Yeah. They give you a notion of freedom, like, for example, going to disco and dancing. They give you that because people like to be more free and liberating because the disco bars have been closed since they started in Corona, and now they allow people to mingle. So the 1.5 meters, whatever it is, doesn't apply in some areas, and it applies in other areas. How hypocritical is that? I mean, you get less coronavirus in the disco. It's all arbitrary because it's private, and they make it up as they go. That's how I see it.
Yeah, and to celebrate it, what have we been doing? We've been knocking those debt pledges right back into their private capacity, and we've been knocking out millions of these things until we've completely put them into the FEMA camps, because these people need to be taken out of the public and back into the private, known as FEMA camps, because they're public hazards. Absolutely. So until next time, from me and from Hugh, bye-bye, you.
Bye-bye, Mark. Nice chatting with you. Great topic.
Thank you very much. Bye-bye now.